Forget the golden batchy.
Being here is like a fairy tale I couldn't even begin to describe.
This bromance is where it's at.
We're able to speak very openly and clearly with each other.
How it started, an intimate dinner at the White House. Then, just a casual 19-gun salute and a military band with 4,000 guests on the South Lawn. Some catch-ups behind closed doors.
So, Mr. Prime Minister, thank you for your leadership and your personal friendship.
And a meeting in the Rose Garden.
Time and time again, we've seen what America and Australia can do when we stand as one.
Albanese's 4-day visit to Washington, D.C. culminating in a lavish state dinner, only the fourth Biden has hosted for a world leader. But in times of war, the White House turned down the pizzazz. Initially scheduled to perform, the B-52s were downgraded to guest status, replaced with a more sombre military band. On the menu, farro and roasted beet salad, butternut squash soup and sarsaparilla braised short ribs.
To our partnership, our mateship, and the future that we'll create together. Cheers.
This is the 9th time Albanese and Biden have met.
Must say I only have one regret about tonight, which is I'm not quite sure how I top this for date night with Jodie. It's all downhill from here, my darling.
Turns out, 9 times a charm, boys.
We stand as close as we have ever been. And I think after this week, closer than we have ever been.
No wonder we get along so well.
I think we get each other to friendship.
This will be
That new season of The Bachelor coming soon. Network 10's Ashleigh Raper is in Washington, D.C. Has been tagging along on the Biden-Albo bromance tour. Actually, this was White House diplomacy on steroids. And we should note, at a time where there's a horrific war going on in the Middle East, a lot of heavy stuff, and every reason not to do this. Why do you think Biden wanted to roll out the red carpet at this point?
It is an interesting question. Actually, in the lead up to this trip a week ago before we left Australia, there was a lot of conversations really in the press gallery in Canberra was that we don't think we're going on this trip. This trip is going to be cancelled, but it wasn't cancelled. The Americans really wanted to push ahead with this trip. And look, and I think a lot of that comes down to China. It almost has everything to do with China and Australia's place in the Indo-Pacific region. And the Prime Minister next week is going to China. I really think that this was about the US President, Joe Biden, wanting to get together with Anthony Albanese ahead of that trip because tensions between America and China are still tense. In Australia, they're thawing. The White House pulled out all the stops today, basically to say to Australia and to the Prime Minister, you're important to us. This alliance is important to us. Remember that when you go to China next week.
Ashleigh, there was also some domestic politics which impacted. The PM, of course, was meant to address the joint sitting of Congress, but that didn't happen. Massive moment for him. Is that a missed opportunity for Australia?
It would have been an absolute massive moment for him. But yes, here in Washington, D.C., there's been this absolute mess up on the Hill with Congress and not having a speaker. Actually, today they finally did elect a speaker here in Washington, D.C., but it's too late. And we know that the Prime Minister had a speech drafted. He was ready to go, but that hasn't happened. So, look, that would have given him the world stage. But I don't really think it has detracted from the trip and what he's really tried to achieve here. So, there's still been meetings behind closed doors with members of Congress. And the big thing about that is the AUKUS submarine deal. He had a moment to do it if he addressed Congress. That hasn't happened, but he still had the meetings.
Ash, AUKUS is a big deal, obviously, but the bromance is really, it's taken me. I'm obsessed with it. I want to break down some of the... So Biden is 80, OK? Albo's only 60. So does this make the president a bit of a cougar, do you think?
I don't know if he's after him in the cougar sense.
Oh, OK, sorry, I've misread the whole situation.
But they genuinely really like each other. And if you see the vision from today or even the official pictures that have been posted from official photographers from the White House and from Australia, the President Biden's got his arm around Anthony Albanese. He can't get enough of him. They really like each other. Look, not all leaders get the red carpet treatment that Anthony Albanese has got. Now, that has a lot to do with Australia and the alliance, but I think it's also it's a personality thing. They like each other. They're from the same side of the political divide. But yes, they do very much get on. I don't know if I go as far as characterising how you did, but yes, they definitely get on.
Yeah, Waleed's the cougar in our relationship.
I'm just showing everyone that you can just do that sort of thing for the cameras. Hi, Ash. Thank you very much for joining us.